but also is the sound on? Can we make it not on for just a second?
Oh yeah.
Also, I didn't want.
Oh no, I can't mute sound. Joanna's with us. Nancy, Joanna's online.
Hi, Joanna. We miss you, Joanna.
Joanna there.
Yeah, she's on YouTube.
Oh my God.
Lead off, Martin. Lead off.
Oh gosh. Well, there are a couple of people downstairs, but
We'll tell them up to come up.
yeah, we'll have to.
Tell a couple of jokes and then leave them.
Yeah.
Nancy, tell a story.
I'm just gonna set this going. Do you want to stand up a moment? Nancy, do you want to say something?
Well, I think we should start by apologizing that Joanna Quinn can't be here tonight. She's really, really ill. On Friday, she wrote me and said, I'm going to the doctor. And it turns out she had a respiratory infection that's a viral respiratory infection. And then yesterday, she wrote me and said, this is the sickest I've been in years. Joe's online listening to me here.
But I made a video.
Yeah.
So she put the
And she said, but I'm going to drag myself onto the train. And I said, no, you're not. First of all, I don't want to be responsible for your death. And I don't want us to go down in history as the people who infected and killed the whole London animation club. So she's not here, but she sent things for us to see.
When I said, it's really funny, when I said, could you say something, that's I actually meant to check the levels on the camera, but you did it much, much better. So
Well, I said something.
you
She's
did,
always
yeah.
much better.
Yeah. I can't quite believe this, that Nancy and Nick and now Will are here sitting in this room with us. Oh gosh, I might get a bit gushy. I first met Nick and Nancy at my very first animation festival that I went to in 2004. It was Zagreb. And as people who know me well will know, and I kind of bore a lot of people, that for me was a life-changing experience. And it was there that I realized I was an animator. I had a film selected for the festival and I always thought it was live action, but apparently it's animation. And it was through meeting Ruth Lingford and Joan Ashworth that I decided to apply to the Royal College of Art and study animation there. It was through meeting Tom's grandfather, Bob Godfrey. I'm not quite sure what that did, but it certainly was.
Put you off animation for life?
No. It was very inspiring because I'd written to Bob Godfrey when I was a child, actually. And meeting Nick and Nancy, who showed me the kind of international nature of animation festivals and how they exist in a community, an international community, which Brexit only seeks to kind of tear apart. So I think it's very important to celebrate animations. And for tonight and tonight only, this is not London Animation Club. This is London Animation Club International Animation Festival. And it's thanks to
Lakia.
Nick and Nancy. So a huge round of applause to Nancy and Will.
Martin, is that
I'm not. What should I do? Should I show a couple of films?
No, let's save the films for a little bit later.
Yep.
Let's
Okay.
talk about why we're here.
Okay. Great. I don't know how much I should say. Nick and Nancy. Well, who exactly sent me this book? Was it Will? Or yeah, it was Will. Thank you, Will.
Yes.
I got a copy of this book about 2 weeks ago, and it's absolutely marvelous. And as I was saying to Nancy downstairs, one of the marvelous things about it is not just the historical setting and the factual information, but it's also, if I may say, the subjective experience and the parts of animation festivals which can't really ever be repeated. It's the sort of the impression that they leave on you. So, and this is, there are a number of travellers' tales as well, if I may say, and it's witty, it's engaging, and great fun as well. And I now have seen through reading this book that Nancy, you do seem to be indestructible. Could you tell us about one of my favourite stories in here?
Wait.
Oh,
First, I'd like to talk a little bit about how the book became a book. Because
yes.
I had
Possible, yeah.
no intention of writing a book, and out of the blue, this man, Will, who, this is the first time I've ever met him, but for the last year and a half, we have been in constant contact because he wrote me and said, I think you have a book in you.
Well, not out of the blue, because he had to have seen something you've written before.
No, I never.
No, I think.
Wait, let him tell it.
Okay.
Because I've never asked him before, and I want this opportunity to ask Will how you thought I could write a book.
Yeah. Hi everyone. So I'm Will Bateman. I'm Nancy's editor. I work at CRC Press. So yeah, the origins of the book, I mean, they go back 2 years now, I think, maybe a little bit longer. So I was actually working on another book. I had a proposal come through to me that I needed reviewers for, and one of my authors mentioned that I should reach out to Nancy. And Nancy had done various reviews for us in the past, and Nancy very kindly offered to review this proposal. And then at the end of my questionnaire that I give out, I always sort of leave a line saying, if you've got any writing plans or if you're interested in writing, leave a comment here. And I think it was probably a bit of a throwaway line from you, but you just sort of mentioned something along the lines of, I've got all these articles, people keep saying to me, I need to write a book. And that was it. That was what you wrote. So that sort of sparked an idea, and I thought I should go away and read these articles. And I did. I thought they were fantastic. And the other thing that sort of really struck me was there wasn't really much out there in book form on sort of the history of animation festivals. A few things on maybe like the history of Annecy specifically, but nothing that sort of really charted the history of all these amazing festivals that we've got. So that was when I reached out to Nancy and sort of said, would you be interested? And then we sort of went from there. So I can't claim it was all entirely my idea, but I sort of felt after reading Nancy's articles, there's definitely something here that can be expanded out into book format. And we're really pleased with how it's turned out. So that's sort of the origin story, I suppose.
Routledge Press normally prints textbooks.
Yeah.
And I thought, they're not going to want to hear anything that I have to say. So I sent Will the first 2 chapters, thinking, okay, don't have to write anymore. And he wrote me back and said, keep going, this is great. Well, I had to keep going. So I wrote a book. And I've got to say, the book would not happen without these 2 men sitting here, because Will was so great. Sometimes we did 3 and 4 emails a day. And when I write a question, he would be right back at me and give me an answer or say, I'll find out for you. He's great. If you ever need a publisher, this is the man. And the other man was my husband, who not only took all the photographs in the book, but also for about 1.5 years took over doing all the housework, all the cooking, all the shopping, all the cleaning.
Change the baby's diapers.
So that I could just write. And so there they are. And I owe a lot to both of them. Now, you can ask us anything you want. And guys, anytime you want to ask a question, just ask a question.
Did you hear that? What's your favorite washing company?
Oh, come on, Tina.
You will see tomorrow.
Hi, Stevie.
Oh gosh. Well, you said in the book about your early interest in things like Felix the Cat and Betty Boop. And your book starts, I think, in 2001. Is that right?
That was the very first year going to an animation festival.
But why? So why then? Why 2001? Would you say?
Well, I'd already been involved in animation doing the Twisted Tales of Felix the Cat in 1995 for CBS TV in America. And after that was over, I didn't want to, I'd already been doing silent film, German Expressionist, early American silent film scores. But I really thought that animation was what I wanted to concentrate on. And so I made a project. Nancy and I got together idea for having a project of creating a monthly concert series, doing live music to independent animation, experimental filmmakers, animators from San Francisco, ASIFA, and so
With the animator's permission.
with the animator's permission, I would take off the soundtrack and make my own score and perform it live. And at first we got a lot of experimental filmmakers and local San Francisco filmmakers. And one of these filmmakers was Nina Paley. And as she started making more and more animated films, she got invited to festivals. And she had gone 1 year to Croc in 1999 to the Croc Festival. And she's a non-drinker, she's a vegetarian. And the Croc Festival is a festival that takes place in the Ukraine and Russia, took place. And it's not about not drinking and not about not eating meat. So you didn't have any such thing as vegetarian food at that time. Anyway, she said, I'm not going back. I'm not going to go back the next time her film got accepted. So I said, well, maybe we could go to the festival and represent the film. It was unusual at that time for a composer to represent a film, but she said, sure, why not? And they said, okay, you can come to Croc. So that was our very first animation festival, and we started meeting people. And anyway, so we started there, and after that, we said, well, gosh, there's this other festival, Annecy, and blah, blah, blah. We started going to animation festivals. Yeah, so that's how we started in 2001. Before then, we were just typical provincial Americans. We just been in San Francisco doing our own thing.
Just being in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, I must say, Nick put together an incredible group of musicians. We had Dave Brubeck's son, Matt Brubeck, on cello.
Carly Kilstead on violin.
Yeah, so we didn't just have musicians playing music to animation. We had some really great people that could just do amazing things. And at first, because short animation, unfortunately still, is not a big thing in the United States. People don't think it, they think it's something for children. They don't take it seriously. And people didn't come to see the animation. They came to hear Nick's music and our group play, and then they'd walk out going, where did you find these wonderful films? Where can we see more of these? So we did this for 10 years. And then when we started coming to Europe, we started bringing back European animation, and once again, with the filmmaker's permission, turning off the score and creating new soundtracks to it. And people were going, wow, this is really amazing. you're showing me Russian animation, you're showing me German animation. We've never seen anything like this. So it was really exciting. We did it for 10 years. Every single month, Nick would work and write an hour's worth of new original music. And after 10 years, we kind of looked at each other and went,
That's enough.
yeah,
And anyway, it was time, we had to get the hell out of America.
yeah, we knew it was time to leave America.
But anyway, back to the book. Anyway, that's why we started in 2001 going to festivals. and
Yeah.
Expanding our reach between, Germany, France, Croatia, different festivals.
Yeah.
We met you in Zagreb in 2004.
2004.
And yeah, I guess Croc to me, I still have, it'll never happen again. We all know this. A joint Russian-Ukrainian festival in our lifetime is not going to happen. But it has the warmest place in my heart because the first time we went, there were only two people who really spoke English, the two interpreters. And every time Nick and I would get off the boat, one of them would suddenly pop up and say, "What would you like to see?" And we'd say, "Oh, we're just going to walk around." And they'd say, "Can we walk with you?" Of course. And 2 years later, when we were on the boat, one of the interpreters, who also happened to be Gorbachev's interpreter, told us that when we first arrived, they thought we had to be CIA spies, which is why someone got off the boat to want to see what we wanted to see. And then about 3 days into the trip there, they realized that the US wasn't smart enough to send us.
Very special. The book begins with Croc and it ends with Croc because Croc was our first animation festival experience. And it was really unique because you don't just go see the films and then maybe have a few drinks in the bar and then go home and go to sleep or go to the hotel and go to sleep because you're in the hotel. You're having breakfast and lunch and watching films all day and then
Drinking all night.
funny skits with people telling stories and acting out really silly fantasies and drinking all night and singing. So it's more like a summer vacation for young-hearted animator people. And
It's summer camp.
all of these incredible Eastern Bloc animators, Yuri Bernstein and Edward Nazaroff and
Petrov.
yeah, so it was a totally incredible experience. And then we got to experience the other festivals one by one, Stuttgart, Annecy, Zagreb, and each one has its own character, of course.
But Croc has a very special place in our heart.
So the book ends with it, beginning and ends with stories from Croc. But there are a lot of tales about all the different countries with animation festivals, Greece, Germany, France,
Kosovo. The Kosovo Festival, I was on the jury there the second year. And this festival in Prussia was started by 3 young people, none of whom were old enough to sign a contract.
just out of high school.
Yeah, they were all in high school. But they could tell that this town, they wanted to do something for their town. The movie theater had broken down in the 1960s.
It was like a smaller city, not in the center city.
It wasn't a city,
Christina.
it's like a
It was
small town.
off an hour away from Pristina, the capital.
Yeah.
And so the city was kind of dying, but these young people loved film and animation.
Well, the projector had broken down in the 1960s, and no one had ever fixed it. So no one had seen a real movie there since the 1960s. And they were all used to just sitting on their couch with their friends watching television. And the second year, when I was on the jury, they were showing film on the basketball court with a sheet.
Outside in the dark, and people were on their phones and talked to each other while watching the
Oh, yeah.
film. And they said, no, well, we had to educate
We actually
Oh,
gave
my
a class in
No,
how
you
to
don't
watch.
watch your phone while you're
No.
watching a film. Don't talk. You have to watch the film. And
Yeah.
I took it to heart. And 10 years on, they now own that movie theater. They refurbished the movie theater.
Yeah.
They have an academy, an animation academy.
They have two animation academies now, one there in Prasia and one in Pristina, capital. One is devoted to computer animation, that's in Pristina, and the one in Prisia is for hand-drawn animation and puppet animation. And, you know, it's just amazing, because the first time I was there, every young person I met said, how can I get out of here? That's all they wanted to do. And now, the young people are there and they want to, they're so proud of their town, they're so proud of what it's doing. Animation can change the world.
Yeah, that's an interesting chapter in the book. And the second time Nancy went, I went along. And so I saw the festival being run by 21-year-olds. And then the people, the volunteers were like 13 and 14 years old. And they were great. They knew what to do and they were as organized as any major festival in Europe.
Yeah.
And they're going strong still now.
And when I went to Beirut, this was amazing. I got off the plane, and the first things my host said to me when she picked me up was, now, if there's gonna be a bombing here, we'll know 24 hours in advance and we'll get you out of there. Okay,
Well, this was 12 years ago.
yeah, and it was really interesting to see Beirut doesn't have a great animation community, but it has a great graphic novel community. I was absolutely amazed. And they published the graphic novel books in English, French, and Arabic, depending upon how you turn the page. And I spent a day with the animation graphic novel people, and they sent me home with a suitcase full of brilliant graphic novels.
Well, anyway, enough of that. Maybe you should do a reading or do something else besides just jammer.
Well, one of my favourite
Oh,
stories.
maybe we should have the pictures from the book going.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, do you
Yeah.
want to?
Oh, good.
What we
Yeah,
did do
good idea.
is, we brought the pictures from the book, and we'll run them while we're talking.
Just put that around you. Nancy. Sort of.
Or on top or something.
So, the pictures from the book are gonna be up there just while we're talking. And also, if any of you have any questions, any comments, just spit them out. And if you want to know anything about publishing, this is the man to ask. And if you want to yes,
I'm going to ask a question. So before you started going to the animation festivals, were you already working as a journalist, or did the writing
yeah.
about animation emerge?
so I was already writing.
No, she started writing a blog as part of the music group. The music group that we had, not only did we do these concerts, but we also had a Sunday afternoon, once a month, highway cleanup. So we would have a party in our house and do a 4-hour cleanup of this highway along the Pacific coast, because we had 4 kilometers of highway to clean up. So she started writing a blog about those things. And at a certain point, Ron Diamond was really interested in these blogs that Nancy wrote and kept pestering Nancy and said, you should write for me. You should put these on my animation world network, blah, blah, blah. And Nancy said, no, I don't want to do that. And he kept pestering her. And finally, one day at Annecy, he backed her up against a tree at the DreamWorks picnic and said, Nancy, I want you to write for AWN. And she finally said yes.
No, I finally said, these are my conditions. I write what I want when I want. Nobody at AWN can change a word. And I own my own content and can publish it anywhere else I want. And he signed this contract. I thought he was going to say no and I'd be out of it. He actually signed this contract. So I can write what I want when I want. Nobody can touch it, and it can go anywhere I want to send it besides. So one of the things I cannot stress enough is if someone comes to you with a contract, read it carefully and make sure that you get what you need and what you want out of it. Yes. Yeah, so, but I've always written all my life because I like to write. And I write with paper on pen. My whole book is in a box like this with handwritten pages because that's how I write.
Who did the transcribing?
You could just do a commentary on the pictures,
Well,
actually.
no, I can't turn around and look at the pictures, that's rude.
These are the illustrations in the book, by the
Yeah,
way.
these are all the illustrations of the book. And there'll be people, some of you will recognize, and places you'll recognize.
Fruit Pond.
But this book is really not just about the festivals, but it really is about the experience of each festival, the characteristic experience you'll get from being at that festival.
Yeah, and also there's history incorporated too, because there's some things, like when I write about Portuguese animation, people don't really understand the history of Portuguese animation because for a long time, it didn't get out of anywhere besides Portugal. Because their animation was so based on their literary characters and their Portuguese history. And so I actually start with the first Portuguese animation, talk about the Carnation Revolution and its effect on animation. So I do incorporate history because I think these things are important. I can't just say, well, I go to this festival in Portugal and talk about the films because the films need this backstory to them. So there are places where I put backstories in. I don't overload it with history, but I think it's history that's important that we all know. And I am an animation historian as well as being a journalist, so I got a little move that creep in. And then, oh, that's a very funny one. I was in Lisbon, and I walked into our hotel, and there were these two matadors who'd been in the ring, and I just couldn't resist having my picture taken with this matador.
Yeah, this is just, it's about memories. It really is about memories.
It's
as
about
much as
memories.
films.
It's about history, it's about festivals, some that don't exist anymore, about people who aren't with us anymore, and yeah, memories.
Maybe you should do a reading.
Oh, please.
You know,
One of my favourite stories is the one about the journey, which should have taken a few hours, that took you 19 hours.
about which one?
The journey that took 19 hours when it wasn't meant to. The bus journey.
Oh,
Is it wrong to
Belarus
Yes.
or Serbia, because they both do.
Maybe go to Serbia.
Yeah.
Serbia
Belarus
is
is
shorter.
shorter. And
Yeah.
Belarus would take us a half an hour.
I've also been very, I'm not sure if the word is lucky, but I do have adventures.
Nancy has a really rare talent. Whenever anything goes disastrously wrong, she has a great time. The best stories in the book come from when she gets kicked off the train or gets thrown off the bus at a border. I mean, this only happens when I'm not with her. If I'm with her, everything kind of goes smoothly and it's very boring. But if I'm not there, she might end up in the moon.
Yeah, I've been thrown off a train in Belarus. I almost died in Russia, no fault to Russia. I was in Beirut, as I said, when they told me, don't worry, the bomb's gonna fall, we'll get you out of here. What can I say?
What
Where
are you gonna
is
do?
it?
You're gonna do the Christina one?
The Serbian story. Look at the table of contents here. He wanted me to read crop, but he wants me to read
Little story.
Just go to the table of contents.
It's easier just to flip through the book. I like reading it. Every time I read it, it's always good.
Anyway, no questions? No comments?
Hi, is there any festival, kind of festival that you had a bad experience with the festival or this never happened?
I don't get stressed very easily. I mean, by the time you've been told you might get bombed or you've been thrown off a train in Belarus and off a bus in Serbia, it's pretty hard to get stressed about much of anything.
Even if the festival doesn't work.
Actually, this is a very good time to explain about why there are so few books here.
Yes.
And we want to do that while Will's
We want to do this while Will's
Actually,
here.
Will should do it.
I think Will should do it, yes.
Yeah, so sadly we were hoping to have a few more. We had a bit of a mess up at the printer and all printed in black and white, which was a bit unfortunate. So we've got some copies. We don't have as many as we would have liked, but yeah.
Normally, Routledge Press only prints in black and white for the pictures, but for Nancy, Will got them to print colored pictures. These pictures are actually the book in color. So Nancy won't sell anything but the very best. So if you do want to buy a book, we do have lots of slips that you can go to the website and get the book. Anyway.
But on Friday, Martin and I had 20 books sent to Martin.
Yeah. I checked they were there. I sliced open the top of the box. I checked that they were there. I even did a little display and photographed it, put it on Facebook. However,
You didn't look inside.
I didn't look at
Oh, they're black and white ones.
This one had already arrived, and it's got the lovely photos in. So it just didn't occur to me to look inside. I'm afraid.
Also, some are colour and some that you got were black and white.
Well,
No,
we
they're
got
all
one
black and
earlier,
white.
Oh, right.
This one was sent ahead. That was sent ahead. Yeah.
but it never dawned on me to ask you, Martin, are the books? So,
Luckily, Will got a heads up a little bit before.
well, no, on
Somewhere.
Friday morning, I get an email from Will saying,
Check the books. I don't know if it's going to be okay.
well, you can say what you said to me.
I was just well, I can't remember. It was just like, yeah, they might not be what we expect them to be. So.
They might
There's a
not
chance
be.
that it might not be as good.
How did you find out?
So I'd actually ordered myself a copy to bring,
Yeah.
an extra one, and it turned up in black and white
Oh.
on Wednesday. So
Oh.
I was a bit embarrassed. It was very embarrassing. So yeah, just
How did you manage to
But
get
that was
colour?
good that we don't have 20 copies of black and white tonight to
Yeah.
sell. But anyway, they are in color. We
So,
order one.
of course, he immediately tried to get them, to deliver them again today, but there was no way. So unfortunately, that's why we have so few books, but at least we have these.
But they are available, and they come very quickly, like within a week, I would say.
Yeah, they send them very
If you
quickly.
order, you really get it quickly.
You have a question
Yeah, I
back?
was gonna ask, for first-time animators, what would you say is the festival not to be missed?
Not to be missed. What's a festival not to be missed? What festival would you not miss?
Zagreb. You want me to tell you why?
Absolutely.
Okay. First of all, I think Daniel Silic is the best programmer around. I really enjoy his programming. Second of all, everybody is included in everything. The festival is large, but it's not so large that everybody can't get into the theater, everybody can't go to the picnic. It's all in one place primarily, so when you get out of the theater, you're all right there together at the bar.
You can really hang out.
And it's a festival that is not only welcoming to students or someone who's never been there before, but it's really welcoming to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm glad you said that because for me that's always the one. I didn't know.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the first time we showed up in Zagreb, our friend Signa Bellman said, "Oh, there's this festival you need to go to. It's in Zagreb, blah blah blah." And so we just drove there because we were driving around Europe still at that time.
With our two dogs.
We hadn't even just barely moved. And we just show up there and say, "Oh, we're here." And the head of the festival at that time, Booba, said, "Oh, okay. Let me find a place for you to stay." And
Gave us a hotel room
she got us in, got us accreditation like within hours.
and said, welcome. So, and Zagreb is still like that. It's a very welcoming festival. You'll be able to meet everybody, see everybody, do everything, and see all the screenings. So, yeah.
I mean, there's zillions of great ones. I mean, Fantoche and, you know,
Yeah.
How would you rate Stuttgart in that?
Well, I love Stuttgart. I love Stuttgart very much for a different reason. Stuttgart is larger, it's more spread out, but I think Andrea is a wonderful programmer.
In a way, it's spread out, but they don't have really big enough venues to really hang out, but they're getting better at finding the places downtown. It's really a thorough festival.
I mean, I do love Stuttgart. It's right up there. I've got 3 or 4 that, you know,
Yeah.
well, actually I have 5 or 6 that,
I mean, it's really hard to, it's like, which of your kids do you like the best? Well,
it's like, yeah, which of your kids do you like the best?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, each festival has its own character, and I love them for different reasons.
The smaller ones are really good because you can really be the big part of a small festival.
Yeah.
The smallest festivals can be really interesting.
Yeah. And then I like to go to interesting places. I mean, you know, like
Well,
going
Georgia.
to the Republic of Georgia for a festival. I found it absolutely fascinating. And to see what people are doing there, things that don't normally get out to the rest of us, and discovering, oh, they're doing some interesting things there.
Anyway, read your tale about Serbia.
And I'm actually really lucky because I get invited to be on the jury in a lot of interesting places. So, okay, you want to hear about, why can't you go from Kosovo to Serbia? I knew that Serbia did not recognize Kosovo as a country, and that people traveling from Kosovo on their Kosovo passports could not cross the border. But I'd been assured I would not have any problems, since at that time I was traveling with a US passport. Ha ha ha. As the bus approached the border crossing, which was in the middle of nowhere, a Kosovo border guard collected all of our passports, and then we waited while the guard disappeared into a small building with them. I always have a bit of a stinking feeling whenever my passport vanishes into an official building. But after a few minutes, the guard re-boarded the bus, passports in hand. Good. Next, our bus crawled to the Serbian border, where the Kosovo guard handed over our passports to the Serbian guard. We were all ordered off the bus and were told to bring our luggage and all personal items with us. After our luggage, handbags, and the bus were thoroughly searched, we were ordered back onto the bus. After a long wait, the Serbian guards boarded the bus, passports in hand. I made it to Serbia. Or so I thought. When he walked straight to my seat and told me to get my luggage and follow him. Oh. When we reached the building, an official was frowning down at my passport and pointing at the Kosovo entry stamp. He informed me he was polite, I guess, that he was very sorry, but he could not allow me to cross the border. It didn't matter what I said, or that I had a plane ticket to fly out to Beijing, China from Belgrade in a few days. My pleas fell on deaf ears. All he would say to me was that I could not cross the border. When I asked how I was supposed to get back to the town, he just shrugged his shoulders. As I watched my bus recede into the distance, I turned around, headed back to the Kosovo border, where my passport was stamped with another entry visa. When I asked the guard where and when I could catch a bus back to Pristina, he said, no bus, no taxi. Great. There was nothing else to do but to set off back down the dusty highway in the direction I'd come from in the boiling 40-degree heat, trailing my very large suitcase with me. 2 kilometers down the road, I came upon an umbrella with 4 chairs, and under it was a young man with a cooler very full of cold beer. What a welcome gift. As bothersome as being thrown off the bus was, I knew that the festival wasn't going to leave me sitting on the side of the road, so it was now time to call Fiona Barak, Director of Guest Services for Anabar. While I was talking to Fiona, the young man said to me in English, "Don't worry, my uncle will drive you back to town." Well, getting into a strange car with a strange man, But after a conversation between Fiona and the young man, everything was settled for the ride back to Pristina. After another round of phone calls between Fiona and myself, she assured me that if I returned my steps to Pristina and then took a bus across Macedonia, I would be able to cross into Serbia at the Macedonia-Serbian border with the Macedonian stamp in my passport. I'd been very worried about how much my 2-hour drive was going to cost, but Fiona and the uncle had settled on 25 euros. That's a lot of money in Kosovo, but for me, it was money well spent, and anyway, I wasn't in the position of quabbling about a price. Although the uncle spoke no English, he was very nice. He had a cooler full of cold beer in the back seat, which he offered to me and said, "Help yourself." He not only delivered me to the bus station, he carried my suitcase out and made sure that I bought the correct ticket. Safely on board the bus, I enjoyed looking out the window at the landscape as I crossed Kosovo and the Macedonian countryside, which was lovely, with small villages nestled in rolling hills. Although both countries, the buses stopped at cafes every 2 hours for a 15-minute rest stop, and this seemed very humane to me. All along the way, though, numerous bus changes. No matter what I went through, people were so helpful, making sure that I transferred onto the correct buses and sharing food and drink with me. One thing my traveler's disasters always remind me of is that there are good people everywhere who are willing to help you. It never ceases to amaze me how well people can understand each other even if they don't speak the same language, if they just try hard enough. I felt great trepidation as the bus approached the Serbian border. It was dark, and I was trying to watch out the windows for any place on the Macedonian side that I could walk back to for help if I needed it. For a few seconds, my passport disappeared into the Serbian border control office. But we were nice to get off the bus and no one searched our baggage. I heaved a big sigh of relief when my passport was finally handed back to me with a Serbian interest stamp on it. The bus rolled across the border, and I began the long trip to Belgrade, which was a very uneventful trip, except that there was no toilet on the bus, and there was no rest stop during the 7.5-hour trip. Oh, yes. Appropriate comment. I finally arrived in Belgrade at 4:30 a.m. It was wonderful to see my friend Roscoe Churchick, who'd been waiting for me. After giving him a big hug, all I could say was, "I need a toilet desperately." Roscoe had shown up at the bus station at 1 in the afternoon when he thought I was supposed to arrive. This is before there were cell phones that could communicate, so I couldn't call Roscoe to tell him what was going on. He was emailing Nick saying, "Where is Nancy?" But he stayed at the bus station and was there at midnight for me, took me to his home, had all kinds of food waiting, and most importantly, he had red wine waiting for me. So that's one adventure from my book. What?
I think we should play Joanna's video.
I think it's time to turn Joanna into
Okay.
this.
Do you have Joanna on your computer? Okay, we'll do it on mine. Okay. One of the reasons I like that story so much in the book was it's one of those awful things. Wondering what would have happened if I got turfed off that bus. What would have happened if I was stuck in 40-degree heat with no means of transport? And it's almost like you're kind of a trailblazer.
Well, what are you going to do? You just got to start walking and see what happens.
I mean, pulling a very heavy suitcase down the hill.
I mean, think about it. I'd been in Kosovo, I was going to Serbia, and then I was going straight to China. So you can imagine the different clothes I had in this suitcase.
Was the reason you were going to Serbia to get out of Kosovo? Was that why you were going to Serbia, or was
I
that
was
festival?
going to Serbia because
festival.
Roscoe had a film festival
Right.
there, and it was called the Danube Film Festival, and it was for countries that were located on the Danube.
Hmm.
And I was on the jury of his festival, and also he was a very dear old friend.
Would you like to explain why we're about to show this film and what the circumstances are?
Which one is it?
Well, it's the Joanna.
Joanna's.
Oh, well, when I said I was writing a book, Joanna and I have been friends for many, many, many years. And I told her I was writing a book, and she kind of said, well, I guess I'm doing your covers, aren't I? And yeah, I asked her, and I said, of course. And I guess, is this a film about the covers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, the first time I saw this was in Portugal, when Joanna and I did a presentation together. And this is Joanna pre-drawings for ideas for the covers. And they're pretty funny.
But she's done a kind of prefix for
Yeah, she's going to introduce it.
This is even better than it was in Cinemina.
Yeah, hi, Joe.
Okay, here we go. It might stop and start because I had a little bit of sound trouble earlier.
Doesn't she want to say her thing about hello to everybody? And
Yeah,
I'm
that's the sort
okay.
of. There's a new prefix on it because sadly Joanna couldn't come tonight. Do you want to point the stream camera
Already
to
on
the audience? We can all wave.
And also, Joanna has joined us on the link. So she is there, so you can all say hello to her.
All right, so here we go.
Hello, London Animation Club. This is ill Joanna. I should be with you, but I'm not. I'm ill.
Martin, with Matt.
Sorry, I was so bored of it. Anyway, I hope it's a lovely evening and that you're all really, really nice to Nancy and Nick, and that you buy lots and lots of their books. And nice to Will too. Talking of Will, when I was working on the cover, Nancy and I would have discussions about what Will actually looked like, because Nancy had been working with him for ages and still hadn't met him. So anyway, so she said, "What did I think he looked like?" And we were going to show our versions tonight. So anyway, I first thought he was going to look like. This is my first version. Okay, anyway, this is my first version. I thought he was going to look like this. I don't think he's old. I think he's sort of youngish. And so I thought, okay. So this was my version
That's pretty close, John.
Are you wearing a cravat, Will? anyway, I'm going to do the voiceover for the little PowerPoint thing I did. So I'm sort of there in spirit. Anyway, have a lovely evening. Thank you. A sneak peek at how Joanna drew the front and back cover of Nancy's book on the animation trail. So I'm just going to take you through the process. So first of all, I gathered together loads of photographs of Nancy off the internet. Nancy, all over the internet. And I was just trying to find quintessential Nancy. So of course, they're not very flattering. I'm sorry, but some of them are cute. Because when you're trying to draw somebody and get a likeness, you just have to explore them, and you don't really know what you're looking for until sometimes you just make that little line, or you make the eyes look a certain way, and then you think, that's it. It's sort of hard to put your finger on sometimes. So, so that was the first lot. This was lovely Nick. Nick is quite easy to draw because he's very tall and slim with big feet. Sorry, Nick. I know how not big feet, but they're easy to make big in a drawing. He got quite broad. I noticed when I was drawing it, I thought, he's got really broad shoulders. And plays instruments, obviously, and carrying lots of Nancy's bags, because he does. I've witnessed it. And this is his rather lovely octopus shirt that he wears. And so this was my little thing here. Behind every Nancy, there's a Nick. So I think I was really keen to get Nick on the cover somewhere. So he managed to go on the back. I mean, it's Nancy's book, but behind every Nancy, there's a Nick. So there we are. These were the first cover ideas. So I sort of worked out how to get the likeness of Nancy. But so when I do the rough ideas of the cover, it doesn't matter if it doesn't look like her. So this is her with her glass of wine. Obviously, I bet she's got one right now. This is her being jovial at a festival. And just lugging her luggage along and crossing around and all this stuff. This is her ordering for Nick. Come on, Nick, we're nearly there. This is her with different flags to show the travel. And then this was her wrapped up in the flag. So I tend to do the thumbnails really fast, just to bang out lots of different ideas. And then this was her standing on the world. And this was her, don't know. This was her being carried by Nick. This was her marching across the world, different Nancy's and Nick's going across the world in different directions. This is her on a donkey, because Nancy and Nick both said they really liked the idea of her being on a donkey. And this is her in a train. And then Will sent some of the, because of course it's for a particular book category of book. So there's a template that you have to stick to. So this was the template, like where the title goes and where the images go. So I had to sort of choose which template to base the design on. And then once I'd done that, I'd also chosen, and it would be Nancy on the world that seemed to work the best and people liked. So these were just some of the different designs and colours for within the template. And I think, I can't see, we chose that one? I think it's an amalgamation actually of one of those. And then this is just a close-up of the drawing on the front. So the drawing was very loose. It was just, I liked a typical messy Joanna drawing. The welders on a separate layer, so I could make it a different size if need be. And I just cleaned it up in Photoshop. And in the background with all of the names of all of the festivals at the back, sort of fading up. That's Nancy's festival pass. I did various colours and stuff, and so of course all of these were going back and forth when people were commenting, Nancy and Will. And then this was lovely Nick, and his delightful octopus shirt, his spotty trousers. I think I might have made those up. But he's definitely got those toe shoes. I have the tickets, dear, because Nick always has the tickets. You might notice that the colour version of this drawing, the final one, is taller. That's because when I draw, I always make people short and fat. And so, thank God for Photoshop, so I just stretch everybody. And I stretch Nick. And that is the end. And thank you very much for watching, and buy the book now. Bye!
I've got to tell the story.
That's a beautiful brief on how to make a
Cover.
cover or a logo or something. She ran through it.
Well, she's the queen. She knows what she's doing.
Wow.
I have to tell you why the two drawings of Will are up there.
Yes.
Yeah. Joanna and I have not met Will. I've never met him until tonight.
He says we've done a Zoom, but we'd forgotten totally about that because it was so long ago. It was like the prehistoric era. So
Yeah, that was
it was out of our
Prehistoric.
minds.
And Joanna never had a Zoom with him. So Joanna and I started this thing where whenever we were together, we would talk about, what do you think Will looks like? And we have all these speculations. And yeah, this went on for like a year and a half, the whole.
So now we have the live.
Now we know what the
Yes.
Will looks like. And the second drawing. But it was funny because, you know, we speculated, do you think he's bald? How fat do you think he is? I mean, we would have these whole funny conversations about what does Will look like?
Is he young?
Now we know.
Is he old? Is he posh? Is he kind of a worker guy? Yeah, who knows?
I think the second photo is you.
The second
Yeah.
picture
Yeah.
was pretty
Yeah.
close.
Yeah.
Could I get a photo with you and your alternative self?
Yeah, of course.
That'd be all right.
Yeah. So that's why you got to see drawings of the two Wills.
It was before Martin.
Before. Oh yeah. Purely for archival.
Move the mouse, the thing will go off.
That's one of the Barrel films.
Yeah, that looks like somebody.
I think.
Barrel's father.
And Nick, I think I need you to be with your.
Do the other Will.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
two
that
Wills
was
in
the
there.
next
That
one.
one is the one that's really.
Joanna's sent more things, I think, didn't she?
Ah, there we are.
Yeah,
There's the.
Move the mouse and it'll
That's
go.
Oh, I've done it again then.
pretty
Oh.
close.
I have to say,
That's you, I think.
I would like a head of hair like that.
And now
Very
you
nice.
do.
Yeah.
Shall I carry this on in depth?
She definitely got Nancy.
Oh,
100%. Yeah.
yeah, she definitely got me.
I think I've got to get this. Oh yes. Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, that's it. And let's have one of you, Nick.
Okay.
Swap over. Swap over.
Someone got a suitcase.
Well, but okay, it's longer now. Already noticed.
So, are there any questions?
Well, we have some films to show.
Okay.
Should we have a break and then films?
How are we doing?
It's 8:40 now? 8:40?
Yeah.
So, are we showing my film next?
Good.
Okay,
I don't think I've got that one.
Nick does.
Okay, shall I swap over?
Yeah. So, this has been an amazing year for me. I've written a book, which I never thought I would do. And a German animation documentary filmmaker is making a documentary about Nick and I, although I can't imagine why I didn't want to watch a documentary about us, but she is. And then I actually made a film, something I never thought I would do, because I have this very strange, well, I don't think they're strange, but I love them, pair of sunglasses. And people in animation festivals kept saying, can I try them on? Can I try them on? Sure. And my friend Ike Govner, who's a South African animator, said, let's make a film of all these people in your sunglasses. I said, why not? So Nick took pictures. There'll be people you recognize. This is my 2-minute and 50-second film. The only film I'm ever going to make in my whole life.
Let's have the lights first.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like the animation festival experience.
Yeah.
These are all-
In 2 minutes and 57 seconds.
Oh, is that too dark?
You haven't seen it, though. Turn it back so we can see it. Oh, you can see it. So I can guarantee nobody outside of the animation world is ever going to care about seeing this film. It's just a fun, silly little piece that we did.
A lot of friends.
A lot of
More.
friends, yeah.
Shall we have a short break now and come back in 10 minutes? Is that okay?
It's fine with me, whatever you
Right.
like.
Okay. Well, when's the signing going to start? Of course.
When is what?
When is the signing going to start?
Whenever people are interested in looking at my book.
Okay. Well, why don't we have a break now and the signing now? If you see what I mean.
Yeah,
Okay. Great.
Sure.
Excellent.
We have a few select copies for sale.
Yeah.
But we also, as you all heard about why there are not,
We have some slips that have the website that
You can
go to
order
the
it.
book.
Mine, it's the ones you've
then you
got
can
black and white
find
and
me at
loads
a
of colour
festival and
on
I'll sign it.
Those are the
it. The ones you've got.
we can't sell them, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, we'll break shop.
Okay. Yeah. Let's have a break and start the signing. And start the signing.
So you have your glasses
You need to keep a tally of who's paid by card, don't we? You need to keep a tally of who's paid by card.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's gonna take out your card. On your card. Just tell people on Thursday, it's going to come up to the bottom of the select.
Yes.
I might be able to say this.
Okay, I need to get where we need, do you want to email, is this one there, get you there? 2 o'clock tomorrow.
12, okay.
12, okay, that's fine.
Oh, 2 might be better.
No, 12 we can meet.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's message anyway.
Okay.
Great to see you.
Yeah. Don't touch my wine. So good to see you there.
Don't you really have more fun tonight?
Red hat is blue.
Okay, and if we have any problems, I'll email you.
Yes, yes.
Noon tomorrow, we will see you.
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. Good to see you.
Don't see what's happening. We haven't been going to festivals doing anything.
He's the one to go. Now takes the money and I saw him.
She was very focused. Finish up in the next 10 to 12 minutes, actually. Don't freak out. I think we can't make trouble. They can't take from them.
And he would like to sell it. They?
I only went there that's where I met you. And lived there, in fact.
Yeah.
I don't know ages there. Yeah, awesome. It's telling me I should write
They're set up pretty well for that because they do the whole family. They just do it for years. So they've got the deals go there every whole time.
So he was ill for how long?
Of course you can.
I'll send her an email.
It's going to show up as the Bob Godfrey collection on your statement because I'm doing payment to them. So that's what your vote should have gotten there. Yeah, tap. Sorry. I can send you a payment link and go to the other part sheet. Yeah. Put your email address in.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've got a pen, I'll write it down in 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
I said to Martin, oh yeah, I'll take Martin. Have you got the payment process? No, you just put it in your phone and give it to printer. No, you need to stuff from you. So that's right. It's the car processor.
You said you have your
Yeah, well, no, it's a separate car processor. And then they send it to the bank. It's not I've opened it. And obviously, car payment online. And like the side effect, they give you that. You do the public to pay. So, it makes it a lot easier. If you're going to be doing this a lot, you're not really going to get that. I mean, my take yeah, it's less to pay for money. Oh yeah, when was the funeral? That was 2023, wasn't it? The funeral. The lecture's gone so quickly. Yeah, I'm back in London. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Happening. So, studio Stratford, sort of so, yeah, in terms of sound, it takes me
No minute. You might want to keep that open. And you know.
Amazing. I can't wait to read it.
I was just earlier, the reason why I was late was because I went to a conversation with Rolf Hines.
that didn't work. The reason
Very good.
And he's sort of saying he wants a pin.
Yeah, are you working with Phil?
But it was. I think you just not let me use the pin. I'm sorry, I'm not happy. So it's saying that actually access is blocked. Let me do something. If you want to get them cash, give them cash. But let me try something.
I have 40, so it's about the same. It's all good.
Right.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice to meet you again.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Give me your card, so I have your email. Yeah, sure.
Oh, right, okay.
I've been listening to that.
I do events which I find quite cool. It's quite nice to have something that's slightly
I should know your email. I think your email. I'm not sure if the box again, by the way.
live stream, and then we have one that was one of so I emailed her and said, oh, you should come over and do a signing at London Animation Club. I was earlier on this evening that, she almost, within an hour, emailed back saying we booked our tickets, It's like, it's quite nice to have animation events that aren't animation. So
You would contact the
you would contact three signings.
All right, just make that much
Over the book signings over the years. The last one was in Bateman. So I think it's quite nice to
I would love to.
do something a bit different.
Because we're all.
Yeah. That's good to hear.
It's all about.
Exactly what I meant.
Now, there's not going to be another book.
Oh, you can.
So, from
Nick is
animation festivals.
Oh,
really? Well, this one is.
You're going to come over to our house and live with us for a year.
Oh,
okay.
You want to see to anyone?
That's part of my thing. I want to see impression on me. It's like going to animation fest, it's quite late.
There are certain ones that really That's why don't you write the book?
See, that's what you should do.
Yeah, I think so.
And I got to tell you, everyone, this is the man.
also, you know, cultural
So
events.
nice.
I think is
Well,
something
yeah, and you can propose it to someone who writes. You should try
It's quite
it.
nice to do this in a pub.
I mean, I should.
Yeah, my favorite one for watching film
But I don't have that.
We do occasionally more formal events. We're doing a special screening.
We can talk about screening.
On the 1st of March.
You just talk.
And we did one.
That's what Mark does. You transcribe your answer.
I'll keep it.
Takes more than one.
Bottom one is much sort of truer to the
You know,
examinations already. It started with us just meeting in a bar, you know, in a pub. I finished my animation course and I got to, you know, lose contact with all my friends. So I went to the pub and I was sitting there and trying to occupy a table until my friend showed up. And a long time ago now, they've been very good to us. They don't the extra business Normally, First of March.
I'm now speaking
It's a rise up, so it's something we get, they get published.
Yeah, and it's very
Yeah.
basically what I did.
And I was traveling. I literally did not see I would like to explore
Passed away.
And also,
Because I build an event, I have a show a few clips about anyway, we're doing a positive Hello, how are you?
I know, I've been a bit busy. I work in radio now. Not like BBC. Oh yeah, Dennis just.
I'll try.
Yeah.
I know you're showing. I know exactly what you're
Yeah, so anyway,
So, where did you get the voice? I already tried to solve that. It's not. These are I love
Oh my God, what are you doing here? My God,
I'm around.
you pop up everywhere. Great shirt.
I'm around.
Oh, hi, Claire. Hello, John. That's right. This is Bill.
Great shirt with the bag.
I already thought you would appreciate it.
Oh my God.
Animation festival. I don't care where. Oh my God. Okay.
I'm searching for these.
Oh.
It's going against instinct, right? Because it's right, left, side, different.
And all the supporters are on the train.
Right? Like we're walking, it's already dangerous.
Yeah, people were walking on the left-hand side of the sidewalk. Most of it, but not all. It's a little bit like Belgium.
I don't think 3 months is enough. Like for walking, yes, like for hiking.
That's why I'm on the call.
Start off the
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty.
I want to turn my direction. I want to take
Although I have a collaborator in New York.
Steve, how many told me that you were 12 and you're gonna be the Actually, we got some
No, there's no mistake.
Okay, well.
You're a woman.
One viewer. One viewer left. But I'll say the most you had was about 6. Which isn't bad for us, actually. But I mean,
Okay, everybody, we're gonna start again.
musicians are so very fun.
I live with a musician. Oh, there you are.
There are a few recordings of
it's really nice not having to worry about getting a train home. The two have moved back to London. Yeah, as of 2 weekends ago. It's really nice not having to fuck off at 9 o'clock to get a train. Martin, is that filming? Is that going?
Oh yeah, that's been going on.
Maybe people just want to be social.
Well, look, hi everyone. We're kind of wondering how to structure the second half, and it could be that sort of sitting around drinking and chatting would make a very good second half. But I thought we could have another reading, and I've got a.
Oh, I don't want to bore the audience to death.
No, we want reading. Yeah, so I mean, at some point we could always move downstairs and chat in small groups or something. I don't know. But I've got a 37-second film to show, and 37 seconds.
We also have Nick's photo show.
Oh, okay, yeah. Nick?
Good. I mean, it's a film by a good friend of ours, Martin Pickles, who used to run the Animator Festival.
Okay.
And it's a soundtrack I did for him.
Excellent.
And then he said, "Oh, you should show one of your films."
Excellent. Oh, well, let's do that then. I'll just show this very, very quickly. Right. It's so old. I shot it on in the pre-smartphone era. I shot it on a stills camera, and yeah, well, the video was like 320 by 240 or something like that. So it's very, very rough, but I hope you like it. And you'll see a couple of people you might know. Video.
That's the first time I met you.
Yeah. So, at the Zagreb Festival, our friend Rock Beckler was there, and Roscoe Churchick was there. And we were staying in a hotel that had a piano. And so, it was a Friday night, and the three guys, Nick, Roscoe, and Rolf, decided they'd play some music for all of us because we were all in the lobby. And they started playing. And after about 4 songs, someone comes out from this room where they're having a wedding party. And we figured they're going to tell us to shut up. Instead, they invite us all into the wedding party. And I still have video photos. Well, no, I don't have videos. I have photographs of all of us dancing with these strange people at this Croatian wedding party. And I'm sure that they open their wedding album and go, who the hell are these people? So that's what that video was. And that's where we met.
So it was actually on that occasion that the wedding party came out.
Yeah,
okay.
I think me and Bob had left by that point because there were 2 hotels people were staying in, and me and Bob weren't in that hotel, but we'd come over, and everyone said, "Oh, that's where there's going to be some after party," and we were there about half an hour before everyone.
Was that the Sheraton, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were staying in another hotel.
Oh, the Weston.
Something like that. Yeah.
I didn't realise it was actually that occasion. But
And I can even remember what one of the songs they were playing was Lady Madonna.
Okay, that makes sense. The music was by Nick. You actually gave me a copy of your Fetch CD on that occasion. And that film, I mean, this is such a long time ago. The video that the stills camera would shoot was always silent. So I thought, well, what can I put on as the sound? So I put that on. I think it works very nicely. Anyway,
Oh, the minute I saw it, I knew
That was
exactly what it
actually-
was.
That was a soundtrack, sounded like the soundtrack I did for an Irish animator. She was living in San Francisco for a little bit, and now she's a children's book illustrator.
Okay.
But yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a nice piece of music.
Yeah, that's it.
Roscoe, my Serbian friend Roscoe, is a real Renaissance man
that was the one she was going to from Kosovo. When
who waited for me, thank heavens. He teaches animation. He's an animator.
he's like a fourth generation graphic artist.
Yeah, he's a
His
horse
father, his grandfather taught in Bucharest,
at the school there.
Belgrade.
And his daughter are both now animators. And also he's an ex libris designer and president of the Ex Libris Society. And he writes books.
He makes wonderful journals.
Oh, yeah.
At festivals. When he's sitting there at the table during lunch drawing, he'll draw the entire lunch with people talking and making their most apropos comments for the lunch.
And he glues things into his book like beer labels and wine labels.
And he plays guitar and piano and sings wonderfully.
And he did a really interesting project when Serbia was being bombed. He'd always been a huge Beatles fan, and he found this book of titles of songs that the Beatles had written the titles to, but never written the songs. And he formed a group called the Rubber Soul Project, and he wrote lyrics and music that he thought went with these titles. And when you listen to the Rubber Soul Project, you really think it's the Beatles. It's really incredible. The songs sound like the Beatles should have written them. The group sounds like it. He's really an amazing person. And he's a very dear friend. Only a dear friend would wait for you for that long on a bus platform thinking you're really going to show up. And then have a bathroom for you. Yeah, so what other memories are you going to show me?
Oh, well, I'm not sure I have that many to hand. I'm trying to think if I have anything else to hand. There might be something on YouTube, but I can't think of.
Do you have anything you want to show, Nick?
Well, I'll show a film that I made for a soundtrack I made for a wonderful filmmaker friend, Martin Pickles, who used to be the artistic director of the Animator Festival, who passed away a couple of years ago, but he was a wonderful teacher, animator, and writer about animation.
Aside from doing my housework and cooking for me, Nick really is a composer for animation and a musician.
And
a great one.
Rita.
Yes, he did a film that Tunde produced.
So Martin came upon this Japanese paper that turns color when you paint on it with water or something. It turns color and then it evaporates when it dries. So here's his film called The E.
Good question. Did you do the music to the picture, or did the,
I did the music
was the
to-
picture done to the?
I did the music to the picture.
That's nice. It's a nice balance. I couldn't work it out.
Yeah, yeah, it was a kind of stream of consciousness because I would like play a little bit of sax and a little bit of trumpet, but I did put the bass line and the drums in first.
Oh, okay, so it's a bit of.
So I could kind of
A bit of
fill in
style,
out from
yeah.
that. Yeah.
I thought, yeah, because usually you kind of can tell which way it went. But that's
Yeah,
being quite balanced. That's nice.
when you make a soundtrack to pre-existing film, it's good to set up a basis. You know, if it's like cue wise or just mood wise, then talk on top of that. That's what I said on the
I want to ask you about the paint you see that it evaporates. So on the paper, so was the animator having to animate almost kind of, how does it work?
He just put, I don't even know how he got the colors, but he said the paper turned these colors with like a water base, and then it would like dry out, and it would.
So if he applied it, it would take some time to dry out, but then he's going to do the
So
next key.
maybe he put the colors in later, maybe with Photoshop or something. I don't know, because I don't know how you could get different colors from just the water. But yeah, yeah, but it's water, aquamation. So that the water, it probably turned a color, maybe black or white or something, and then maybe later you can put the color in.
Something unique in the control of it, isn't it? So we just
But he was just on this box.
yeah, this is quite controlled.
Yeah, so I didn't really ask him too much about the process, I just, you know, I just go with what's there, I don't need to go in the background really. I'm just a musician, the animation is like way, above my head.
How about we turn this into a social thing and poor Nick and Nancy have been travelling all day, and as we're all sort of.
We're fine.
We're okay.
Oh, why doesn't everyone move up and so
Let's
on?
do a group hug.
Group hug.
May I ask you something? Sorry. You're a composer. Okay. You start with the rhythm, percussions, and then you improvise.
Generally, the bass line and the percussion are really the basis for the groundwork of
Can you do
the.
an enable tone,
In
for
something like this,
example?
especially if it's kind of abstract, if you have like a rhythm that you can put to it or a.
But you write the note, or you do, for example, an Ableton or some program that
In this one, I
easy program.
was just doing it, like playing it in. I wasn't writing really. Sometimes I would write for my people that were playing, but this was all just done by me. So I just play it in on the computer, like play the drums for the keyboard and stuff
Oh,
like that.
it's so nice.
So, when I'm doing that, I kind of have a log of what I've done before in my head, so I can kind of play with myself easily like that, because you get a feeling for the rhythm and everything if you've done it for a while. Like when you're conducting a live soundtrack, you have to be really precise with the tempos to make things work out with the film. And so when you first start doing it, you need to be really cluing in with the metronome and making sure you're right with the metronome. But then after you get into the feeling of the film and you know it better, then you can just feel it, rather than having to.
Do you have some classes for film music in London?
Pardon?
Do you have some classes for film music in London?
Not really. I mean, I don't really teach. I do workshops once in a while, talks. I never studied, so it's like what I do is like, intuitionally what I do. I could give short-term, hints. I could give like tricks and stuff like that, but I'm not like a teacher like to go on and on for weeks and weeks. I can give you some really great advice for a short period of time though. Because it's not academic with me. It's like by feeling.
Why don't you talk about how you like to work with an animator? Because that's interesting, I think, to people.
Oh, but it varies. Every animator works differently. I mean, sometimes you write the music first, and they animate to the music, and sometimes they have the animation finished, and then sometimes you work together. It's like, different processes.
One of the things Nick's very good at doing is animators, as you all know, very often work to a song.
Pre-existing
animation.
soundtrack,
And
film music.
then they can't get the rights to use that song. And he is able to take that song and redo it in such a way that it still sounds like that song has the same rhythm,
Or
but
not
can
even a
pass
song, but a
copyright.
soundtrack. I mean,
Yeah,
that's not really the best way to do it, but that is a way to do it.
well, it's what you have to do when they tell you this is.
A lot of sometimes filmmakers are really set with that edit or that feeling of the music.
Well,
they want
Nina-
something just like that. And so if you put something that is creative down, that's different, they'll really have a hard time accepting it unless you let them have maybe a week to get used to it. And then, if you can give them that period to get used to it, then it's possible that they will say,
Yeah, but you did a soundtrack for Nina Haley. Nina had listened to the Blue Martini song. That was in her head. It was the only thing she could see, and she couldn't get the rights to it. And Nick was able to recreate the song enough so that she felt like,
just the same mood.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
yeah. So he's very good at doing that.
But with Nina, what I don't know how it played out, in Unsee when she did the Cedar Masochism, where she used all the Stones, Guns N' Roses originals.
Yeah.
Did that have any consequences for her?
I think by that time she'd already done Sita, so somehow I think she got the rights to the music in advance before she
To all those,
finished the film, because she did it without a lot of pain. I mean,
because she part of her.
she got the rights and she presented the film, and there were no big.
Because I read all those interviews where she said she's actually against copyright issues, which of course now musicians here.
I mean, as an independent animator, when you're making a film, you're really not going to make any money on it. Generally, it's not going to lose money. So,
it would be.
You approach it with
Guns N'
that,
Roses now would say
I'm making
it's
this independent project, experimenters, whatever. It's not going to make money, but I really love to use your song and blah blah blah.
I just would be interested, because I haven't followed it up, I just would be interested what it did for her, because we all have it that we put something on YouTube, our show reel with some random song, and Facebook turns it down, or I couldn't monetize my Facebook and my YouTube anymore because of I did video clips for musicians.
Yeah,
for
but
them.
in most cases, probably no one is ever going to hear it. But there are banks and banks of attorneys sitting in buildings here in London and in New York who do nothing to look for copyright infringements.
Like one time I was doing a concert of the Sprocket Ensemble, that live animation project, and I was doing a film by Paul Bush,
We all know Paul Bush there.
the great one.
Great.
But anyway, and somehow his lawyer called me up and said, "What are you doing making this film making music, or are you using other music or something? And I was like, no, Paul said I could use this film, blah, blah, blah. But apparently Paul's lawyer or somebody with his production company saw it, not online even, it wasn't online.
They just saw the
Just saw that I
announcement.
had done a concert with that film. So sometimes they're really out there looking for
They're
these
looking
things.
for you. But also, you can write the musician, send them your film, and very often, if they like what you're doing, they're gonna give you permission. Like, Tom Waits is very good about, if he likes somebody's project, he'll say, sure, you can have my music. So,
But
the
it
first
has to
thing
be
to
the
do,
record company also
Yeah.
has to agree too.
but then there's the record company.
The musician can agree, but the record company is another thing. They might own the rights, really.
And here's
Some
a
of the
really,
rights.
one of my favorite bad examples is, there's a group, actually, they're here in London, called the Real Tuesday Well.
Which is really a person called Stephen Coates.
Yeah.
And he made some really nice sounding music that the
No,
American Russian animator Alexei Belsky.
Yasky saw this film and he went, oh, I love
Make
it.
some music. I want
I want
to
to do the
this.
music. And he did a beautiful soundtrack for it. It was like a
that
3-minute
Stephen
film.
does sampling, and so he sampled a little bit of a Mills Brothers boop 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 kind of like a little bebop
It's
lyric,
like,
which
how
was
many
like
seconds?
maybe 1.5 seconds. Anyway, that was a big part of this music.
It was reoccurring too.
And so Alex did the film, and they made a 35mm version of it even.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
And called,
And then
what's it called?
the Mill,
Clerkenwell.
Last Time in Clerkenwell.
Yes.
Great film. All 3 minutes.
Anyway,
Anyway,
lawyers called up and said,
the lawyers for the Mills Brothers have been dead for years,
they've been there
Their
for
estate.
35 or 50 years.
but their estate had these, I doubt if it wasn't their estate anymore, because very often lawyers buy people's estates.
Publishing companies buy them.
Yeah, so like, George Gershwin's family doesn't own the rights to his music anymore because they sold them to some group of attorneys. And these people are out there really trolling to get money for looking for anything that you do. So these attorneys for the Mills Brothers estate called up and got a cease and desist order, and they not only had to destroy all of their records, because they'd already done the pressings for their albums, but also the 2 35mm prints of his film.
So then Stephen went back and recreated that same
Yeah,
thing with a sound-alike version, which was not copyright.
yeah.
And so,
He had a group called the Real Tuesday Well.
and so then they put that version out, which is okay. But, it's like the sound-alike thing is
You gotta be
a feasible
really
thing.
careful. You gotta be really, really careful when it comes to music.
I mean, the composer really doesn't like to do a sound-alike, but it's really a better thing than going
Than having,
circumvent.
than you getting
copyright.
sued.
Yeah.
I'd say actually music copyright, they're hotter on music copyright infringement than they are film copyright infringement. Like on YouTube, you're more likely to get hit on music than you are on putting a film up or a TV episode up.
The Hungarian filmmaker, Rika
Yeah,
Buxi, made a film, and some Italian filmmaker took that exact same film and
put
just
her name on it.
took the composer credits and the director credits off and put the same film on YouTube and even got it accepted at animation festivals.
I've heard that. I don't know if you told me that. I've heard that story before.
I just wonder what rights we do have as filmmakers, because I had the same thing. I found my film on a Russian website somewhere in a bad quality.
Yeah.
As a filmmaker, you
Couldn't do
don't have
anything
rights
about
to
it.
music.
I still find that my producer, who cheated me out of 25,000 euros back then, still has a website where my film is on. I wrote to that website, but obviously he's not behind that anymore. Can't take that off that website. Whereas with musicians, I always find the musicians have a bigger lobby. Even though I mean, I know
See,
they don't
you
earn
need to get
any
your
money.
mafia Russian friend and give them a
You're
letter.
not earning
Send
a
them a
single
letter in
penny.
Russian saying,
Musicians
"Fuck
and
off,
filmmakers
you are, I'm
have-
gonna break your
Or I'm gonna break your knees.
Fucking strange wilderness.
Yeah, but I mean, this is, you know, this is pretty common, it does happen. And when we all started seeing that film online with somebody else's name, we knew it wasn't that person's film.
And you know what I also realized, because I used to monitorize my YouTube channel with my films, everything I've done in my life.
Yeah.
And that was 80 quid per month, better than having nothing right now. And then I got cancelled second time around now. And I checked what the reason is.
Your film's
It was because someone else, I think the reason is because you can't really see it from YouTube, but someone else has posted that film before. Yes, because I make video clips. Of course the musicians posted first. And yes, because I'm working for the Sandmännchen. Of course the RBB posted first. And then I'm second.
Yeah.
But what they do allow is someone taking your film, and that's absolutely allowed, and making a funny comment on it. That's absolutely YouTube. Make a funny, take anybody's content and
Review.
make a funny
It's
comment.
classed as a review.
They can get away
And
with it,
it comes under fair use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's allowed, but not my own content.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, if someone hears Nick's music and they want to use one of his pieces, and they write us and they send us the project, and we like the project, we're happy to say sure and not charge any fee. But we did see something of yours on a commercial for something we really hated once. Yes,
I don't know.
I remember.
Either you have to have too many lawyers or you just don't give a
Well, we
shit.
don't have any lawyers. That's the thing, none of us have any lawyers, so,
You're either gonna be fully into it or you just can't worry about it.
yeah.
You know?
Or you have a Russian friend who will break their knees.
Anyway, we're getting far away from
Book signing.
On the festival subject, just very quickly, because I met you like 22 years ago at Annecy, and I just realised from talking, from what the talking we've been doing, the festival has tripled in size since then. But the one thing that has stayed constant and made it feel like a community, the same festival, is your picnic on a Saturday afternoon. That everyone can turn up to just by the bridge where the pedlos are at Annecy. And it's really important that that's been happening all that time, because it is an event that anyone can turn up to, and that where everyone feels welcome. And you were just saying about festivals changing in nature. I just wanted a little bit of an applause for your consistency of that, but making everybody feel
makes it a family sort of feeling. Yeah, like it's, like camping out with your friends.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming. I think it's really a nice time for us to just break up and have a little bit of social time, because you've heard enough from us.
No.
Stephen Appleby was here earlier on, but he had to go early. He's left a few cards of his exhibition that's happening soon. I'm going to photograph them and put them on Facebook, but please help yourselves. Emma's retrospective is going, Emma Calder, who passed away last year, who's a regular at Mud's Animation Club and a great supporter, and in many ways, one of the key driving forces behind it. We're having a retrospective of her work on Saturday, the 1st of March at 5 p.m. at the Garden Cinema. After the previous one went well, they've allowed us back, but I thought rather than a Monday, why not do a Saturday afternoon? So they'll be from 2 o'clock, and we'll be showing an hour's worth of her films and then having a Q&A. There's probably something else I wanted to say, but thank you all for coming. I could have a massive round of applause for them.
Thank you all for coming.
And to Tom for being our technical director as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. We've got Darshan Raja Rayan says, thank you, great lecture and films.
you enjoy London there?